Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this Spellbinders card making project. In this project we're going to be using the Moonflower set of stamps and dies. This is from the Cool Vibes collection designed by Stephanie Lowe, and in the set you get 8 stamps and 8 matching dies. Each stamp has its own coordinating die. You can use them all together or you can use them separately. They're actually created to build a decoupage floral shape, if I turn it around that way. So you can layer the stamps and the dies, or you can use them separately. So there's quite a number of ways to be able to use them. And I think the way we're going to use them today is a little bit different. So that's the first item that we're going to be using from Spellbinders. Everything I do use I shall put on my blog. There'll be a link for you to be able to go through to the Spellbinders website. You can purchase if you want, or you can just get more information. The links I put onto Spellbinders, they are classed as an affiliate link. So I just want to explain, I get a little percentage if you make a sale through that. If you buy something through that link, I get a tiny percentage. And that's what helps fund the videos and the blog. So that's the first item that we're going to use from Spellbinders. Now the second item is, we've used this many times and it's one of my favourite sets of sentiment stamps from Spellbinders, and these are the tiny sentiments. Very useful, and they will work inside and out of your cards. So just bear that in mind when you look at them, because they're great for inserts and they're great for sentiments on the outside. So those are the two Spellbinders items. Now, if I do forget anything that, as we're going through, I will put it on my blog. If you've ever got any questions, please feel free to ask on my blog or on Facebook. I can only reply on my blog and on Facebook. I can't reply on YouTube because there's a glitch on my account. So even old questions, if I reply to them, my replies disappear after a period of time. So that's what the glitch is. When I reply, they disappear. And I know I'm like a broken record when I keep repeating this, but for new viewers, they don't know that. Our base card that we're going to use for this is a 7x7 inch card. Now, if for any reason you struggle to find this size or the 8x8 size, I do have 8x8s available to purchase. And I don't like hyping myself up and doing all this and sort of saying, oh, you can get them from me. But I have got the 8x8s available to purchase. And there's a link, when you go to Facebook, it says my store. And I think there's 6 different colours and templates for you to there's not a template to download, but it's the downloads of the templates of the envelopes you're going to make, if that makes sense. So, anyway. There we go, just have a look on my store. So this is the size of the card that we're going to use. It's a 7x7 inch card and it's just white. This gives you a perspective at home of the size that we're using. And this is a cardometer. I've created this after I was asked previously, because a lady had said to me, I don't really understand the size of card you're using because there's no perspective. And I want to be able to see at home what size you've used. So I've devised this idea, and I can show you basically what size as a guide that I'm using. So I hope that explains that as well for new viewers. So the first thing we're going to do is our inside of our card. In fact, we're not. See, I'm making a right pig's ear of this one, aren't I? We're going to use our bone folder to make sure we've got a good sharp score along the edge. There we go. And pig's ear is a technical term for making a fluff. Okay, so there we go. So that gives us a nice sharp crease along the edge. A bone folder is a tool that you get. This is actually an Anna Griffin one, so let's be honest. It was in the Anna Griffin tool collection, and I won't leave home without it for any crafting organisations or events or anything, because I love my bone folder. It's very handy for so many different things. But for creases in cards, it is a must-have. So now we can do the inside of our card. It's a good job this is a quick card because my chatting is going to take up all the time. Now, I've gone ahead and I've actually done this before, you know, before the video. There's no sentiment going on this, but it's just such a beautiful insert. And all I've done is I've taken the rose rubber stamp from the set. I've stamped it central, and then now I used masking paper, and I stamped it onto masking paper, and then I covered this stamp, and then I stamped again and again, and then moved the masking paper and stamped again. Masking paper is it is widely available in different shops. However, the one good thing that you can use is a post-it note, because a post-it note will have stick just at one end, so you'll be able to stick it down and then stamp, and then stick it down and stamp. So, you know, don't panic that you can't get masking. It's called artist's masking paper. So don't worry if you can't get that. Use a post-it note or use a piece of scrap paper. That will work just as well. And in fact, we have had a video previously where I use the Quickie glue pen and we stamp out a mask, put the Quickie glue pen on the back, wait for it to turn clear, and then it's semi-permanent, and then you can use it as repositionable. So there's quite a few different things you can use if you can't get the artist's masking paper. So that's our insert, and as you'll see, I've only coloured in one of the roses. I think that kind of gives it a little bit more of a dramatic effect, just to colour in one. I mean, don't get me wrong, you could colour in all of them, but I think that just makes it stand out so well. So I'm just going to simply add that to the centre of our card. The ink that I've used is the black StazOn ink, and you can see where the rose stands out in the centre. I've actually just used a grey marker around the edge, just in light grey, and that makes it, kind of makes it jump out a little bit more. So that's our insert, and it will match perfectly to the outside of our card. So I'm just going to use my bone folder to make sure we've got that nice sharp crease again. And then for the front of the card, the first layer, I've taken a sheet of paper from the Die Cuts with a View textiles pad, and this was the A4 textiles pad, and it's just one of the pink floral papers that I thought will work perfectly with this. So we'll just add that as our first layer. It had double-sided tape on the back. Now I do get asked a lot about the double-sided tape that I use. I just use double-sided tape that is from basically eBay, and it's either 19mm or 25mm wide. It's quite wide, but then you can trim it and you can make it slightly smaller if you prefer, each, you know, for each piece that you're using. So that's our base layer. Now my next layer, what I've done is I've gone ahead and around the edge I've stamped using one of the foliage stamps. Show you this, the little foliage stamp. Again, it's in the main image, it's this one here, but on its own, there it is. So I've used the stamp around the edge and I've randomly stamped it, but where I've randomly stamped it, the next one along, I've just tried to let them meet together, but I haven't done it in a pattern. And then I've coloured it in using one of my water brush pens, and then I've just inked around the edge up to where they meet. So it kind of just stops to where that colour is. And then I've used the rose stamp and I've stamped 4 times to each corner. So I hope that makes sense. I've not coloured in the roses because we're going for an effect, and the effect will match the inside, or the inside will match the outside. So I'm just going to pop that in the centre of our card using flat tape. Press it down. So that's our second layer. Now next what I've done is I've stamped and die cut 4 of the roses with the leaves. I've coloured them in using watercolour brushes, and I've just given them a little bit of a highlight on the leaves. And as I say, I've done this 4 times, and I've got double-sided 3D foam on the back. And then I'm simply going to add these through the sections that aren't stamped with the rose underneath. And I just want to point this out before anybody else does. Here I dropped the stamp because I'm not perfect, and it just double stamped itself a little bit. I caught it, and in actual fact it fell out of my hand. But I just want to point that out because that doesn't matter. Sometimes when we get so far into a card and we think, oh, I've ruined that, I've done this, or I've done that, or I've smudged this, or I've smudged that. Don't panic, because, you know, in the long run, it might be covered over with your sentiment or something like that. So I just thought I'll mention that, because I think we get all hung up that everything has to be so perfect. Which, yes, we want it perfect, but if we've got something that's underneath that we've made a little error on, don't worry, because nobody will ever know. So my final rose is going at the bottom. Now I'm just going to try and straighten these up a little bit. There we go. And just make them so they're more or less the same at each side and the top. I don't think that one's quite right, but again, there's no point me getting really hung up about it. So those are our 4 roses. Now next I've cut out a circle and I've stamped around the edge again with the foliage stamp, and I've done exactly the same with this. I've coloured it in with a water brush pen, and then I've inked up to the foliage. I've got 3D foam on the back, and I'm going to position that through the centre of our roses, like so. Try and get that one a bit straight. There we go. And then to finish the card off, I've used one of our tiny birthday sentiment stamps. Again, on a circle, I've stamped using Stays on ink, and I've got it on 3D foam, and I'm just going to pop that on top of our foliage circle that we've just put on. And that is our card finished. Something a little bit different with that set of stamps and dies. Stands up nicely. You might need a little bit of padding for your centre, just because it's a little bit higher. But it will still stand proud on a mantelpiece, and it's just so pretty. And you see how the inside matches perfectly with those roses, and the way that I've used them with the colour and just the black and the white. So it's just, you know, you could add your sentiment if you wanted, but I just thought I'm going to leave that blank, because I always say, oh, there's not enough room for your big long messages, and if you're wanting to write a nice letter to somebody. So in this one there is. So I think that is a really pretty card, and it's a great set of stamps and dies to use. And we've used it in slightly a different way, with not using the full crescent moon that's in the set. So just another option for you. So please feel free to share this video if you've enjoyed it. If you've got anything to say, please say it on my blog or on Facebook. I can't get back to you on YouTube. I know, I think I've said that earlier, but I'm repeating myself. I do love hearing from you, and I want to thank you so much for your messages. I do appreciate each and every one of them, and I do appreciate it when I write back to you and you say you read it to yourself in a northern accent. That's brilliant, and that comes from my viewer called Karen. So thank you so much, Karen, for writing to me, and your message really touched me, and I'm just glad that I can help you through your hard times. So thank you. And thank you everybody for watching. I enjoy making these, and I'm glad you enjoy them. So I shall say goodbye and see you next time.